We will start the last topic, which starts with the 32nd verse, please. Anaditva nirgunatvat paramatmayamavyayah sharirasthopi kaunteya nakaroti na lipyate. Anaditva nirgunatvat paramatmayamavyayah sharirasthopi kaunteya nakaroti na lipyate. Now this is the sixth topic of the chapter, verses 32 to 35. He talks about with the eye of wisdom. He appeals to Arjuna to liberate himself. With an eye of wisdom, he says to Arjuna to liberate yourself. Now in this verse he says, Anaditvat nirgunatvat paramatma ayam avyayah. Being without a beginning, anadi, without gunas, qualities, this Paramatma, the Supreme Self, is imperishable, though dwelling in the body. Sharirastha api, even though it is in the body. Why does he say that in the body? Because body is perishable. Even when the body perishes, the Atman, the Supreme Self, is imperishable. That's the context. You must understand the connection. He says, though dwelling in the body, it is imperishable. Then the theme of this text, he says, na karoti na lipyate. Neither acts nor is tainted. Na lipyate is not tainted by the action. Anadi, without a beginning. Moment you say beginning, there's a reference to time. The world has a beginning. You may say, give that the world began at a particular time. It is anadi. It is before that. Everything began, but Atman has no beginning. It is before the very world has begun. When we say the world and a beginning, there is a reference to time. Time is born at the second experience. There is no beginning of time in the first experience. Like there is no measurement at a point. There's a measurement, a distance is between 2 points. Similarly, time is between 2 intervals. There is no time at the first interval. So when you say time, time is only born at the second experience. In the first experience, there's no time. Like there is no distance at a point. Distance is between point A and point B, correct? If I take away point B, at a point there is no distance. Isn't it? Time is only born at the second interval, at the second experience. At the first experience or the first interval, there is no time. So when you say the world began, and world is nothing but time, time refers to the second experience. Therefore, the unit of time is second. It's not first. This is with reference to the world. World has a beginning, World has an end. And where does the world begin? World begins only at the second experience, not at the first experience. But Brahman is Anadi. Before the experience, before the beginning, the Brahman existed. So Atman or Brahman is there at the very first experience. Therefore, it is before time. You have to say so much to just say Anadi when it's just beginningless. Huh? Second. That's the reason unit of time is called second. Time is born at the second experience. There's no time at the first experience or the first interval. Like there is no distance at a point, distance between two points. Now, when you talk of time, when there are too many experiences, when you had a day packed with many meetings, visiting a few places, even in the course of the day or the week, what do you experience? When you, in a day, when you have had, or in a week, you had too many different experiences, what do you experience? What do you experience is a solidarity of time. Since we're talking of time, I'm mentioning, when you have too many experiences, different experiences in terms of quantity and quality, what you experience is solidarity of time. Now, what is the opposite to that? If you have a same experience, imagine you're having a routine, a schedule, and you're going through the same experience day after day, you don't feel the solidarity of time. Actually, time is fleeting. Time passes. Time flows. You don't feel the solidarity of time. Now, just to prove this, if you ever seen gamblers or those who play cards, what do they experience? They don't experience solidarity of time. What do they experience? Time flies. 3 hours, 4 hours, they sit and time has flown. Why? They're doing the same activity, repeating, and they're enjoying that activity. They start lingering in that activity. Time is not registered. That's why anytime you say, one more game, last game, they say. They're typical of a person who indulges in card games or any of those games. Time flies because there's a sense of monotony, but they're enjoying it. It's not different experience, the same experience. And we experience it in ashram. Our day is to begin at 4 o'clock, ends at 9 o'clock, 7 days a week, 30 days a month, 12 months a year, 3 years. And those 3 years flies so quickly. Because every day you're doing the same thing and you're enjoying doing it. Time flies. So since we are in the concept of time, I'm just mentioning that which is related to time. But Brahman is timeless, beginningless. So the concept of time cannot be captured when you are doing an activity which is of a superlative nature. Time flies. So the grosser the work, the time stands. The subtler the work, time flies. You can draw a parallel because Brahman is beyond time. It transcends time. You can just extend it. And then he says, Nirgunaha. It is without gunas, without qualities. Brahman or Atman is not a substance. Since it's not a substance, it does not have any physical or chemical qualities. So all chemical engineers are useless here. Means I don't mean they are useless, but all their chemical knowledge is of no use. Don't get me wrong, Vasantama. Suddenly she looked at me. No, no. Because she said, how can you say chemical engineers are useless? I mean, the knowledge of chemical engineering is useless. Because all they are dealing with is substance. So, Brahman is not something which can be experienced or perceived, as we say. Therefore, we say Brahman is a, what's the word? Vap? Brahman is not something that you can experience it. That's what Nirguna. What is that word you say? Brahman, if I give you a pinch of salt, you can taste it. It's a substance. It has qualities, it has characteristics, it has attributes, it has gunas. Brahman is not a guna, right? So you can't experience it. So what is the word that is replaced for Brahman? It is not something, nobody answers please. Everybody hold on to your answers. Brahman is not something that you can experience. What is the term that they use? You can't perceive Brahman. You can't experience Brahman. Then what happens? Huh? Sorry? See, when you can't experience it, you can't. Sorry? No, when you say nirgunaha, what is that karma here, sir? We're not talking of karma, we're talking, it is not a substance that you can experience. So I'm only saying that experiencing Brahman, there is a language barrier. There's a barrier and language breaks because it's not something you can experience. So therefore my question is, what is that state of Brahman? It is said to be a becoming. You become Brahman. You don't experience Brahman. There is no more a subject-object relationship. The object ceases, the subject ceases. The subject and object become one. It's a becoming with Brahman. So I'm only trying to tell that when we talk in these areas or in these moments, when we talk of objectful experience, it is not an objectful experience, it's a subjective becoming. So you become one with that subject, you become one with that very source, which is Brahman. It is not something that can be objectively experienced. So it is nirgunaha. So these are some of the definitions at the very highest level, absolute level. Paramatma. There is no difference between Paramatma and Atma. Here and there I keep here people stating that Paramatman, Atman merges with Paramatman. There is no difference between Atman and Paramatman because Atman is indivisible, sir. The various terms that we use are only describing that one homogeneous mass of consciousness. We give various definitions and terms. Recently, we gave a list of various descriptive terms, but that does not mean there is something other than one Atman. So when in the duality they use Paramatma, but from the Advaita school of thought which we follow, there is only one. That Supreme Self is imperishable, avyayam, even though dwelling in the body. So the body is that which is bound to perish. The Atman, the Supreme Self, is very much residing within the body. The body is going to perish, the mind is going to perish, the intellect is going to perish, the equipments perish, but the I, the Atman, the Self, the Paramatma is imperishable, avyayam. And then these are all familiar concepts that we have learned time and again. And then lastly, he says that we have been hearing throughout this text, na karoti na lipyate. That Supreme Self, that Paramatma is, it neither acts nor is tainted. It is not the doer, nor is it tainted. When he said tainted, what is he talking about? When you say tainted, it could mean attachment to actions. What else? Not responsible for the actions. Not affected by the consequence of the action. I'm just repeating because you're not using mics, sir, so that they can hear. Not that you're wrong. You're right. Not affected by the consequences of the actions. Tainted means what? So tainted refers to a stain or an impression after the action. Correct? I perform an action and then he's not tainted by the action. So what is the philosophical implication of the word tainted? Lipyate. Na lipyate. Not tainted. Atman is not doing anything, therefore Atman is not tainted. You and I are doing, therefore we are tainted. Full stop. Now, what does it mean? No punya and papa. You can say so. Punya and papa are the fruits of your actions. So what else can be what else can we say as tainted? Tainted refers to the vasanas. So when you perform an action, is there a vasana that is created in your account? You got to figure that out. You got to be conscious of it. So when I'm acting, does it create an impression in my account? What account? Vasana account. Not current account, savings account. Account only, that only comes to a chartered accountant. Sadly. Please create a new account in the system, sir. Vasana account. Saringla, introduce pannidunga ella account la. Vasana account. Mudiyuma? Don't literally do it. It might complicate. Huh? That Vasana account be a super account which will permeate all the accounts. Master account. So what is interesting is to be mindful that so there is a possibility. It's okay to say that Atman is not acting, therefore it is not tainted. It's very easy to say so. But when we are all aspiring to reach that state of Atman or Brahman, means should not our actions also, means the more spiritual you become, because we say spirituality is in degree, right? If you are, say, Setuji, if you are 70% spiritual, arbitrary, you could be more, you could be less. But if you're 70% spiritual, means you could be performing 70% actions, and yet your actions are not tainting you. Correct? Literally, that's what it means. Because when you say Atman neither acts, we're not talking of tamas here, please. We're talking of sattvic actions. You're talking of the highest actions where you are acting, yet your actions don't create a punya papa. Correct? So if your actions are creating fruits, if your actions are creating merit or demerit, these are tainted actions, or actions which are incurring stain or taint. If I'm incurring some punya for the work I do, these are tainted actions, imperfect actions, non-spiritual actions. So you should not even think of attaining punya. You should have. Why don't you take that board, sir? Ramgaru. Oh, you can take that. You okay? Or just give another board, which I should. So if I had done this act with a good intention of helping you, I'm acquiring punya. If there is a good intent of helping, I'm just trying to give you an example. I do some good, but if there is an intent backing it, it will accrue punya. But there can also be actions where actions don't accrue any merit or demerit. No motive. So when I perform actions, I should be mindful that I am not creating any taint, means any vasana, any impression in my account. Why should I? Correct? Huh? Is it not adding to the fuel? See, you know the completeness of this concept, right? You should understand the context. So when you perform selfish actions, the two things that happen. What are the two things that happen? Anger. Sir, what is that got to do with selfish action, sir? When you perform selfish actions, the instant effect you get is you are demerited, which is known as papa. You are committing a sin. Instant means it gets into your account. You may get immediate consequence, or it may take a while for the consequence to come to you, but it happens because you're acting selfishly. What is the second thing that happens? Under the selfish thing, there is a second category. Huh? What is the other thing that happens? This is the context of the word tainted, na lipyate. I'm only explaining na lipyate through this diagram or through this equation. So what is the second thing that happens? Sorry? This is also adding to the account. What else adds to your account? No. You create more, or rather put this way, you create new selfish desires, or as she said, you strengthen your existing desire. So you can say three possibilities. Because you're acting on a desire, it creates fresh desires, or it strengthens existing desires and the karma phala of the desire, which is papam. This you can't escape if you're acting on selfish desires. The same principle works with unselfish. What you get? You get punya, which is nothing but merit. Then you create, okay, you strengthen and you create new. This way, our actions are continuously tainting us, binding us. Only thing is, there is a percentage in all of us. What extent your actions are selfish, what extent actions are unselfish. There's a proportion. But when he talks of the Atman, the Paramatma, he says Atman does not act nor is tainted. So he's talking of a possibility where I am acting, because we say Atman, he said not acts doesn't mean it's inaction. It is talking of, it is responsible but not accountable. That sense. With it, everything happens, but it is not responsible for everything that's happening. In that kind of action. So I should be instrument in everything that I do. So obviously, we are talking of the third category of actions, which are selfless actions. We don't understand the grandeur of this action. It is so often loosely used, we don't understand the grandeur. So when you perform selfless actions, let me talk of the second and third first. First, what will happen is you'll burn the existing desires or vasanas, and you will not create new vasanas. Guarantee. And then what you will get is, these two talk of no impression. There's no impression. And when you perform selfless, what do you get? You get to moksha. Senayor ubhayor madhye. That is what the whole Bhagavad Gita is. The Gita starts with, place the chariot between the two armies, he says, isn't it? So spiritual sadhana should be nothing to do with the good or the bad. You should be not interested in acquiring punya or apunya. So there is no question of doing good to the society. Because if you are doing good to the society, means you are acting on a good motive to do good to the society. So what is your good name, sir? Your parent? Hey, sir? Bangara. Bangarao garu. Adavin. Kuchun, sir. Pushpama has troubled him to come and guide us to organize our library. The small library on that Madi. చెప్పింది మిమ్మల్ని ట్రబుల్ చేస్తుందని. He is, I don't know by profession what you are. Oh, nice. But how is it you are connected to library, Andy? So nice. Kuchan, sir. Kuchan, please. She has asked him to come and serve some requirement of the foundation. He is so kindly obliged and he's taken the trouble to come. Sorry to say, sir, if you have any desire to help, you will leave some impressions behind with you. If you did not come, you would have no impression. Now, with a desire to help, what have you come? You have come and served the foundation. You have left an impression of punya you have created. I'm only trying to tell what you learned today is how not to create that impression. I'm telling you the context. Otherwise, he may not be interested in Atma Vidya. She, out of the good association she had and the respect you have for her, the moment she put a word, you oblige and you come on a Sunday to come and help us with our little librarian requirement. So there is a genuine desire to help. I appreciate Thank you for that. But we are not mindful of what that actions are doing for us. We're not mindful. So we get caught up into these kind of actions. In the Shastras, talk of it in a story form, a Swami who was in a very high spiritual state, almost at the verge of realization. And one day, as he was in his secluded place deep in the woods in his ashram, he was just quietly meditating. He could hear a fawn that was crying for long. It kept disturbing him. So he got up. He could hear that feeble noise of a fawn in the distance. He went to that source where the sound came. He saw a young fawn which was actually caught, trapped in a bush of thorns. So he somehow took it out. It was poor little fellow, hurt itself. So he relieved it from that thorns, brought it to the ashram, gave it the medication, attention, fed it, took care of it. So much so, the story goes, the Swami became so attached to the deer, the next Janma he was born as a deer. There was no other thought in his mind. That great man reached such state of removing all other thought, but sadly he planted the thought of deer in his mind, the last stage. And he died, he was born as a deer. That is the danger, that is the power of the thoughts and vasanas that you are empowering yourself with. And whatever you ask, Providence provides. Don't complain that Providence is not providing. Providence will provide whatever you want. You want Brahman, it will give you Brahman, but you have to seek it. If you want to seek it, you have to get to selfless actions. But you act on a desire, you will be tainted, stained, sinned. So even punya also the stains, sir. Yes, sir, please, Ramji. You can use the mic, please.
So, this is a very dangerous thing, that then we should not do any good things also. Now, does it mean that what should the Swami should have done? He should have left the deer to itself and then left from there. By helping the deer, he sabotaged his own spiritual journey. Right? So what should a man do or a woman do? Because, I mean, this unselfish action, I always thought, is a journey towards selfless action. I mean, you pass through a stage. From selfish, you become unselfish. Then from unselfish, you become selfless. But if unselfish is also adding taint, then how will I ever become selfless?
Sir, unselfish, rightly said, is the means to reach selflessness.
Right.
Means you can't bypass unselfishness from selfish to selfless.
Correct.
So you have no choice. All of us have to graduate through unselfishness. But you must understand the limitations of unselfishness also. Both are binding. But it is better to be in heaven than in hell. Better to have punya than papam. That way, relatively, yes. But has it taken me any closer to the self? No. Because if I measure, what is the definition of self, sir? Man minus vasanas. So if I have got 100 selfish vasanas or 100 unselfish vasanas, how does it make a difference? Only differing in quality. Quantity is the same. I still have to put that effort. Maybe it is related. In fact, it is rather difficult to get rid of unselfish vasanas because it's greater bondage. Because there's greater happiness in doing punya. You ask people who do service, they have great joy, so much more happiness in giving than acquiring. And one who is a genuine giver, a wholehearted giver, he knows the joy in giving. And it's very likely they are attached to that act of giving. Very likely, because there's a greater joy. It's so, you get caught up in that trap.
But if you are giving with an intent, or if you are giving and getting attached to it, then only it should give a taint. If you are giving with very pure mind without any, then you are, so if you do motiveless.
Selfless, motiveless. But when can actions become motiveless? So please answer that also, sir.
When you have no motive.
Very true. When can you have, you're making it very simple for us, but help us also. What do you mean no motive? When can you have no motive?
Means you are so detached while doing
When?
it.
Please don't
Yeah.
change words here. When can you have no motive? Please tell us, sir. It's very difficult to get to that.
Only when you have nothing except self-realization in your mind as the target.
Correct.
Yeah.
Only when you are seeking the absolute Atman, you're seeking the self, there is no motive with reference to the world.
Correct.
With motive. Is no motive. So with reference to the transcendental, I may have motive for the self, but so with reference to the terrestrial, there's no motive. So only selfless actions will not incur a taint. Now you ask me the question, what should have the Swami done? He could have just done his duty. There was a call of distress of a fawn. He realized what needing help. He would have objectively helped. The point is, he developed an attachment to the little fawn. That is the story is pointing out the power of thought. It is not the question or the act of helping the fawn. It's the question of developing an attachment to that little fawn.
Exactly.
He found a companion in that state of being a loner in the jungle. And he got that love and affection from that fawn. And he developed attachment. So even at that stage, beware, you can slip. So it's not the act here. The point is whether am I so clearly focused that am I doing this action for self-realization? So I'm sitting and talking this. For what am I talking? If this action is for moksha, this action is stain-free. I go and eat prasadam, the best of food. I should not eat stale food, obviously. I'll eat the best of food, the most sattvic food, the most sumptuous food, the most healthiest food. I'm eating for what? For my goal of self-realization. I need to keep my body in good repair. It needs good food. I'm eating annam. So I'm prostrating. I'm making a prayer, reminding myself, I'm not indulging. It's only to take me to self. I put on my shoes, go for a jog, exercise. Why? I should keep my body fit because I need to keep my vehicle in repair for self-realization. So every action, if I go back, for what am I doing? If I keep checking, if I am safeguarded by saying moksha alone is my driving force, then that action is selfless. But at a relative level, what you and I can do is ask this question, am I obligated in any way at all? If you are not obligated, don't get into it. Moksha is from a subtle intellect point of view. See, from subtle intellect point of view, moksha will make your action selfless. From a gross intellect point of view, your actions become selfless by asking this simple question, is it my obligation? Am I bound to do that act? If you ask and approach it these two ways, you will have a safety net that you will not act on a motive. You will not act on an intent. If I am bound to do it, I'll do it. If I'm not bound to do it, it's not my obligation, you will say, I'm sorry. Sir, now, what it is that you told me, sir? When I was sharing something, you said, you are well positioned yourself.
Yeah.
You were just giving a compliment that you position yourself in the field that you're in. So in the field that I'm in, I know what my offerings are. I know what to do. I also know what not to do. Right? I'm serving this knowledge. So I can very well get into activities which may not be in my scope of work. Right? Under this umbrella of Wisdom Foundation, when you go into our trust deed, it's a very broad spectrum. I can build hospitals for the poor. I can go and serve the needy for the poor. I can do Annadanam. I can sponsor, what is this, education for the needy. I can do so many things. Now, in that also there's a clause which says it is to advance the higher values of life and living. Though it is broad, but yet I have chosen a very specific field where this knowledge will be taught. Now, there also I can get distracted, I can get lost. So tomorrow when there is a no, believe me, I keep minimum 2 or 3 people call me in a month asking for financial support. Last week somebody called me. Somehow they get to know Google Wisdom Foundation, something comes, a trust, they come, they go to the website and say, sir, we want this help. And very objectively, I would tell, sir, that is not the scope of my work, sir. I wish I can be of help, but that is not the scope of my work. I'm sorry, I'm not in a position to help you. How much ever I would be willing to help the foundation, if it has resources, it can help, but that is not the scope. So where do I draw the line? I need to be very clear. What is my duty? What is not my duty? So at the gross intellect level, I got to keep asking this question. Is it my duty? Am I bound to perform the action? The moment you're not acting on duty, what are you acting on, sir? You're acting on mind. You're acting on emotions. You're acting on feelings. That creates taint, not duty-bound actions. So even relatively, even if I may not have moksha as my goal, if I say I'm coming here to teach this knowledge because it's my duty, finished. I have no desire to teach, nor I have no desire not to teach. But I'm teaching because it's my duty. So it is that kind of a razor's path that you walk. So inwardly, you may be doing the same action. I may be doing the same action, but inwardly, I could have a selfish motive sitting here. I could have an unselfish motive. I could have no motive at all. That depends on for what am I operating. So let's not go by the action. Let's go by what backs it. Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Upanishad, sir. Can you pass the thing to Setuji and then, yeah.
In this example, we said that Swami is on the verge of self-realization. Such a person, will he not attend to the fawn in a selfless manner? Why should we say he was unselfish, he developed attachment? I think it is a matter of convenience for us to understand the whole concept.
There's a
Thing that Swami, he is
Look,
on the verge of realization.
We're not defying the stuff.
He will definitely attend to the fawn in a selfless manner is what I feel. That is number one. Assuming, beg your pardon? No, but then he has reached that stage. I'm sure he could have attended to the fawn in a selfless manner, number one. Assuming, poor thing, he went up to that stage. Even assuming he got attached to the deer, poor fellow, should he be born as a deer? Having gone to the verge of self-realization, I think that example is a little harsh to the Swami. That's all I want to say.
No. See, they have
Swami.
correct. No, we are not defaming the Swami or destroying the Swami. It is just trying to convey sir, you are talking here. We are talking of a generic nature. There is in parallel, there is a context of sage Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra is held in Vishwamitra is one of the Saptarishis, and he is held on a very light vein because he fell for a damsel called Menaka. People loosely talk and defame such a man of such high caliber, not just an ordinary Rishi, a Saptarishi. Now, as you say, you can't be a Saptarishi and fall for carnal pleasure. They don't go hand in hand. A gross fellow falls for carnal pleasure, understandable. They're very animal instincts he's got. How can a Saptarishi fall for such pleasures? But what great Vishwamitra did, he wanted to convey a message to mankind. And what he did, his message to mankind was, watch out, even at this level you can fall. And how did he communicate that? By defaming his own spiritual stature, he wanted to convey mankind that even at that level, if you're not alert, you can fall. But people misunderstood that Vishwamitra fell. He didn't fall. He had to teach a message. Perhaps the greatest sacrifice a spiritual master can do is sacrifice or destroy his spiritual sadhana itself. I'm sacrificing my time, I'm sacrificing my life, I'm sacrificing everything to teach this knowledge, but I'm not sacrificing my fame. I will not do anything that brings disrepute to myself. He did that act to teach a lesson to mankind. People don't understand that act and yet they defame him. So there are ways and means the Shastras are trying to convey to us. That's the limitation in an example. You can always twist it and justify poor Swami. I can feel when you said the poor Swami, but let's go with the intended message there. If you get to the potency of a thought, it is very potent. It can it can in fact influence your next birth. It can influence your next birth. So where you're going to be born, what thoughts you entertain matter. Okay? Yes, Setuji?
Before that, I wanted to
Give an answer.
Another,
I don't think the mic is on, sir.
another incident they share in books and all is there was a yogi Swami in a kutir, and he saw some rats in the kutir. Then he asked his disciple, "What should I do?" They say, "You have a pet cat." They came and gave him cat. Then he had to search for milk for the cat. So he arranged milk. Then more kitten came. Then he thought someone suggested, I gave him a cow and calf. Then they have to maintain all this. So then he hired a lady to take care. And he went on becoming dependent on her, that lady. Then the Sushya said, "Sir, the whole society will think bad about lady being present. Better you marry her." So he became a grahastha.
So their story is beware of rats. Yeah, what to do? No, what do you say here? So this is a problem. This is samsara. How we get trapped into it.
Yeah.
Right, sir.
Question is, Guruji, from selfish, one can jump to selfless, or one has to go through unselfish, one has to become unselfish?
So you can
Because
only
unselfish means one has to, see, we are all living in inclusive society. And you have to, unless that unselfishness takes birth in you, compassion and all that, then when you are in this path, you will evolve from unselfishness to selfless. Unless you are born with that,
nature.
earlier birth, you have this thing. So that is the exception. But in general, so I feel there is nothing wrong in someone doing unselfish, but if he is in the path of spirituality and Vedanta, he has to evolve from that, further evolve from that.
See, the good thing with Setuji is,
Yeah.
he asks a question and he answers himself. So he makes job for me very easy, Thanks, Setuji. You are very different from others in many ways. Thanks, Ji. Yeah, 1 minute, ma. Yes, get 1 minute. No. Online people can't hear you. Pass the mic to Aparoji. He wants to say something. Can you on it, please? On it first.
One philosopher said that giving and helping others is the most selfish thing, because ultimately the happiness is ours. So he put it that way.
There, in Khalil Gibran, in his section on giving, he says, you don't give for happiness, you give from happiness.
Yeah.
When I do something for happiness, then happiness is my motive. But you should not give from, you should not give for joy. He says you give from joy. So that word for or from makes all the difference. One proposition changes. One is selfish. If I'm giving for joy, it is selfish. If I'm giving from joy, it is unselfish or selfless. So from the fountainhead of happiness, I'm giving it. I'm not doing this because it's bartering happiness from it. No. I am not seeking happiness in what I'm doing. I am giving it because I have attained that fountainhead of happiness. So happiness is the very source of my giving. So from happiness I'm giving, not to seek happiness in the transaction. Okay, you are a receiver, I am a giver. Thank you for giving me the opportunity of giving because I get happiness by giving. No. Not by giving, not for happiness. From happiness I'm giving. That makes all the difference. Aparo, sir, Aparoji is getting angry at me. He is in Qatar mein hai, so I have to attend the call. Hanji.
Guruji, I wanted to understand the basic, very basic, that is selfish action. How a selfish action will accrue sins, I do not understand. The reason is that I have a family, I take care of a family. Everything is a selfish action. I'm coming here is a selfish action. So, and even in Gita, in the chapter 7, Bhagavan said that there are 4 types of people whom I like. One is Arti, Artharti, Bhakta, and Jnani. Of course, he has a gradients of liking those people.
Yeah.
But for me, I did not understand how a selfish action unless it is a asura pravritti. I would say, I was thinking that it is a sin. If it is selfish action to take care of my accountability, my responsibilities, and also coming here to learn something, how it is a sin?
So just to repeat your question, if I can rephrase your question, you're asking, if am I to take care of my family, does it categorize it as a selfish action? Is that what you're asking? In a sense?
It's not, as long as I'm having this body, every action is a selfish action, Guruji. As long as I'm having this body, every action is a selfish action. I was thinking that there is a categorization of selfish action. One is sinless and another is sinful.
So
That's what is my understanding. I wanted you to clarify it.
see, there are certain things I have to eat food because by me eating food only, I'll sustain my body. If my students eat well, if my well-wishers eat well, if my family eats well, it's not going to sustain me. So if I have to eat the food and put the annam in my mouth, put that morsel of food or X morsels of food in my mouth, oh, very selfish fellow. Can you say that? That's what you're tantamounting to saying, that is that. Just because I do something to sustain myself, how can it categorize as selfish action? You can't. There are certain things I have to do. There are certain things I'm obliged to do. It becomes my bounden duty. So if I have a family, it becomes my bounden duty to provide for their needs, or whatever rightfully so, I have to do so. But you know, in the definition of love, we learn in Vedanta, we say your family should be the center, not the boundary of your love. Now, the question you and I have to ask is, am I putting my family and drawing a boundary around my family and saying my family's interest alone matters? I know you're not doing that. I know I'm not doing that. To that extent, we both are that less selfish. So your family is a center where you learn what is that concept of sacrifice. You and I did not know of what is love or giving until we had a family. But you're not limiting your thoughts to the family alone. So if you are not drawing a circle around the family, you're good. Your family should be the center, not the boundary of love. So let your love expand. It may starting point could be family, but let it expand to accommodate everybody's interest. You're not selfish at all. It should not be the center, it not be the boundary. Don't draw a boundary. Don't limit it. So as long as your feeling starts flowing, it doesn't become stale, sir. As I say, the water, the moment it stops flowing, it starts becoming stale, stagnant. Let your feelings not stagnate to this point or that point alone. That becomes attachment. What is attachment, sir? Do you know the strict definition of attachment, sir? I'm sure you know. Can you let me know the definition of attachment?
Something you think that it is needed for you to live, or without
Definition.
which you can't live.
I want definition, please. What is the definition of attachment? Vasantama, can you help him? In the terms that we are talking, definition of attachment. The definition of attachment is love plus selfishness. You can have a child and yet not be attached to the child because you're not limiting your love to the child. You may provide for your child because you're bound to your child. You may not provide for all the children in the society because you may say, I'm not bound to provide for all the children in the society. But my love is not bound to my child alone. I have that feeling for her or feeling for so many people outside, but I'm serving my child because I have an obligation. But am I limiting my emotion to my child alone? That's attachment. So love, so attachment is impure love. So when you limit that love to your child alone, it becomes attachment. Love plus selfishness. So remove that selfishness. Attachment minus selfishness is pure love. Have that feeling of oneness for everyone, sir. Wherever you have, there's no need for you not to have a feeling. Why can't I feel for somebody? What does it go for me to feel for someone, sir? Nothing goes. Nobody is asking you to do anything for that, to that end. You are just saying, why can't you feel? You're not acting on that emotion. The problem is you say, oh, if I feel, I should act. No. Don't mix a feeling with action. You act on obligation. But you can have feeling for everybody. That is what is unselfishness. You're able to have that pure feeling of oneness or identification. I'm not wanting to make it impure by limiting that feeling to I and my. The moment that very feeling is limited to I and my, it becomes selfish. When I remove the boundary of I and my, the very same emotion becomes unselfish. When I permeate to all living beings, all creatures, it becomes selfless.
So, I coming to this class, is it selfish action or unselfish or selfless?
You decide.
No,
How can I decide for you?
no, because I'm unable
It's
to
like me
decide, I was
asking
asking.
you, sir, me teaching this knowledge, is it selfish, unselfish, or selfless? Where would you categorize this action?
I felt it is selfish action. Why coming here?
No, I'm talking about me, sir. I ask you the question, can you please categorize my action
Just
of
like
me
you,
teaching?
just
No,
like
one
you
should-
should define.
Don't try
Just,
to.
you should decide about it. I will not
Exactly.
decide.
That was my answer to you. How can I decide whether your action coming for this class is selfish? Exactly the way you're saying. How can I decide, Guruji, whether your action is selfish, unselfish? You decide. You know what is going in your head.
So,
You are the best judge, sir. My answer to that was, how can it depends on what is your definition of selfishness. I've given, since you asked, I've given a definition. Now you have to reassess based on the revised input that you've got. That's all I can say.
and I just wanted to understand a little more when Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says that the person who seeks wealth, seeks me for the wealth, is also dear to me. How do you actually?
You are quoting the verse wrongly or incompletely. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukriti norjuna artho jignya surartharti jnani cha bharatarshaba. He says there are 4 types of people who seek me. In fact, 4 types of worship. It doesn't say seek me. There are 4 types of worshippers, he says. One seeks wealth from me. One seeks solace from me. One seeks curiosity through me. And then he says, these three are not my devotees. The fourth is a jnani. He doesn't seek anything from me, he seeks me in rather. Since he seeks me, he is my devotee. Other three are not my devotees. They are coming to me to get some wealth or emotion or curiosity. So they are not true seekers, he says.
He says all of this also dear to me.
Which verse?
7th chapter, 7th sloka, it says, Jnani is
Mike, one answer, please. Chapter 7.
Chapter 7, 16th, he says, all the four are dear to me, and the Jnani is the most, he's the dearest of all. 7th verse, 17th, 7th chapter, 7th.
Oh, Arjuna, I'm reading the translation. And I'm not calling you Arjuna. Oh, Arjuna, 4 kinds of virtuous people worship me. The Artha, Jignasu, Artharthi, and the Jnani. That's all he says. He doesn't even say one is dear, one is not dear. He categorizes them as virtuous against the earlier topic. 12 to 15, he talks of the vicious. So why does he talk of the vicious and virtuous? Vicious are the people who are not even thinking of God. They are only going out into the world to acquire and enjoy the world. Maja karo. What else is life meant for? Enjoy. Acquire as much as you can acquire. Indulge and enjoy as much you can indulge. There is no thought of Brahman in their lives. They are the vicious categories. 12 to 15. Then he talks of the virtuous category from 16 to 19. And the 17th verse is the one I've referred. He categorizes them as virtuous because they are seeking through God. At least they are going and praying to God. They are not going and worshipping materiality and sensuality. They are coming to Brahman to seek. Since they have thought of God, he says them, he is the virtuous. But if you read the subsequent verses, he clearly says what is meant. That these people are only seeking something from me. Sir, even in our own mundane sense, if somebody only calls on you to get some favor from you, is he a true friend of you, sir? He is never cares for you. He is never concerned for you. He has never thought of your well-being. Even when you had moments where people should have thrown their concern to you, he never bothered. But he only thinks of you when he wants something from you. Would you call him a true friend? No, yaar, he is only using that acquaintance or so-called friendship to make use of that relationship for his well-being. Would you entertain him? Because you know very well his intent. Exactly the same way that God is saying, these fellows are only coming to me to seek something from me. They are not interested in seeking me. What would be the feeling of God, sir? You're only coming to get something from me for yourself. Are you ever interested of me? God says, you fellows are not. Therefore, you're not my devotee. That's the theme in that chapter. Okay, sir. So these definitions are all very subjective, relative. So when we say selfish, it is 80% selfish, 20% unselfish. When you say unselfish, it can be 80% unselfish, there can be 20% selfishness. You got to identify those areas where there is that expression of selfishness or attachment. You got to identify those areas and nip it. It is not black and white, it is shades of gray, right through until it becomes milk white. So all of us will have actions which are motive of selfish, unselfish, and motiveless. What you're going to find out is the percentage. So it's nothing clear-cut black and white that way. Oh, sorry. Vijayji, are you there? Vijay Raghavanji? He is offline. Is he there?
Yes, Guruji. No, I'm there, Guru.
Sir, we need you to name yourself, sir. You have been renamed.
No, I had to switch over to my phone because the reception was very poor in Wi-Fi.
Sorry,
This
sir.
is
No problem.
marginally better.
I did you to communicate something. Yes, please, sir.
Yes, I was wondering, Guruji, about the action of the rishi. While he was acting, I suppose it must have been, I'm assuming, sorry to say this anyway, it's an automatic reaction, reflex action. Now, at that point of time, that action is a neutral thing, it just acts, he did what he had got to do. Now, the question is, after doing it, if he wanted to continue to take care of the bird and derive satisfaction, then it becomes selfless. Till then, till the action is over to help the bird, I think it remains irrespective of any kind of a thing. It's neutral, isn't it?
The story has slightly changed. I realize that.
No, you said after that he developed, he took care of it, and then he became a deer. Sorry, I mean, okay, not bird, it's deer. Okay, sorry. I mean, the attachment came later.
Can I request you to repeat the question, please?
Yeah, while he was helping the deer, his action is a neutral action. He did what he had to do. So he hasn't acquired anything plus or minus, if at all plus, because he did something good to a fellow creature. And afterwards, developing any kind of an attachment possibly must be wrong. I mean, wrong is a very crude way of putting it. I mean, that created the, it added some more vasanas or whatever it is. It became a deer and so on and so forth. What was wrong in just giving succor?
No, there's nothing wrong. The problem is, after having helped that little innocent fawn, he have developed an attachment for it.
Yeah, that's what I felt. And number two, Guruji, I have another doubt.
Spelling out a sequential philosophical process that could have happened. He innocently helped, but thereafter he fell in love with a deer. It's like you travel with a stranger and then it becomes love at first sight. You didn't have any love. You didn't know that person. How can you have love for that person? But suddenly you meet a person, a stranger, love at first sight. And then lifelong relationship. Samsar. That's a different, Ramji is giving a different definition to it. Maybe there's experience backing. I don't know. No, I'm not saying anything.
And
Shama, I'm with you 100%. I'm 100% with you. That's what experience. A lot of wisdom I can see there.
Guruji, I have an auxiliary question.
Yeah, please. Anything today, everything is accepted.
Yeah. See, no, I will because you were mentioning that when we go further, I mean, when we spend out our vasanas, okay, we are reaching a stage of no birth, further birth. But will it hold good for the bank balance book of Punya and Papa? In which case, after coming to a certain point, you should never do anything good and acquire Punya.
I lost. Did anybody got the question? Sir, we are a little lost, sir. Can you come again, please?
No, in the case of vasanas, if you are spending out all the vasanas, you reach a point of having no future births.
Yes.
If you do something good, you get punya. If you do something bad, you get papa, and it creates a separate bank book altogether. Now, if you have bank book, I'm saying, sorry, crude way of putting it, credit and debits. Okay. And in case we do something good, punya, and if you still have a lot of accumulated punyas, does it come in the way of realization?
Absolutely. That is called krama mukti. If you have a lot of punya and you have also done enough selfless work, you get moksha. But what is delaying your realization is known as krama mukti. Krama mukti is liberation in stages. In the Upanishads, they talk of it. So what will happen is, you may, if you have done so much punya that you must take a birth exhaust that punya, and only after exhaustion at the end of your birth you may attain moksha, or some stage in your life you'll attain moksha. But if someone has not done that punya or acquired punya, he's only done selfless work, he will known as kaivalya mukti, direct liberation. So either you are in krama mukti, which is liberation in stages, which is delaying your liberation. What is delaying your liberation? Your punya is delaying your liberation. You have to burn. Who has acquired punya? You have acquired. You only exhaust. So you will go through heavenly experiences, which may be a 7-star hotel. You can be a multi-billionaire. You can be traveling the world. You can be the most popular. You can be the most happiest. You can be doing all that. But all of that is punya has to be
Then I'll
exhausted.
acquire further papa.
That no guarantee. Yeah? I'm only your further auxiliary questions are coming in. I can't accept that now. Now to this question, if you have acquired punya, your realization will be delayed. That is known as krama mukti. Other thing is kaivalya mukti. It's a very, very rare happening where a seeker has not done anything to acquire papa or punya. That seeker has only done selfless work, that he gets non-stop direct flight, no transit flight, direct flight, one way, no return flight also. That is indeed, the Shastras say, a very, very rare. You come across a person who has reached that kind of sadhana. But most people perform path of return. In the path of no return, there are two parts. Liberation in stages, direct liberation. This is a path of no return. But most people go through the path of return. Means you are transported to an experience. You are transported to an experience of hell or heaven, and having exhausted, you come back. That majority of people go through that, which is path of return. Hope that clarifies, sir. Thank you. No, we all got stuck at the, what word? Na karta, na lipyate. Atman is not the doer. Atman is not tainted. So spiritual actions should have this kind of an aura, where you are performing selfless actions which will not create any mental impressions. Not easy, but at least we should have that attunement that there is that possibility of selfless, that action can become of the selfless nature. They are talking at the absolute level. But it just opens up a wonderful new dimension. And another thing which hits very hard in the context is that just by being good doesn't mean you are progressing spiritually. Because you are only often giving example, and Setuji clarifies, it's like me being bound by a barbed wire or a golden or silver rope. I can be bound, I can be tied by a silver rope or a gold rope, or I can be bound by a barbed wire, which I'm not able to break the shackle. End of the day, I'm bound. How does it matter what I'm bound with? Correct? Huh? The point is, I must be liberated. So the Shastras say any desire, whether it is good or bad, are still binding. So don't think that by entertaining good motives or acting on those motives, you are being liberated. It is not considered spiritual growth. Though you may have come out of the selfishness, you may experience a lot of peace, a lot of bliss by doing good work, but that does not, or that cannot be translated to your spiritual evolution, because man minus desires equals God. So the quotient of the desires must drop. Not by changing
We talked about that this journey is already like multiple lives, millions of lives you have to take to get to that point of.
You've already taken, this is your last.
Maybe, I don't hope so, but no, I don't think so, because I still am very selfish. So what I'm saying is we all should probably, that quotient of trying, like to what you said, is that even if you're bound, maybe I should get out of the barbed wire to a silver to a golden to get out of the wires at some point.
See, the fact that you're here, I give the benefit of doubt that all of you in golden wire. And the context of this environment, the context of this satsang, don't undermine this experience coming your way. And if the guru or the text, I'm just an instrument, if the text is trying to plant the thought of Atma Vidya in you, why are you rejecting it? Why are you saying no to it? Why are you saying Aneka Janma is
No,
still
Guruji,
there?
I'm not rejecting it. What I'm saying is that I am trying to encourage myself that whatever good quotient to like Setu Ramanji said, you said that even if you are doing something with a good intent, it still is acquiring some punya or something for you, which is binding you, right? But for me, I think it's an evolution. It
Not
goes
just for
from
you,
one
it's
step.
for everybody, it's an evolution.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking. That instead of discouraging it completely, like,
We're not discouraging, we
No,
are
I'm
actually
so sorry,
encouraging
not
you to get to
discouraging.
the higher level.
Yeah, so that's a path through unselfishness, right? So you said
No, no,
selfish, unselfish,
yeah,
and
I see.
selfless.
Job of a guru is to pull you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And the initial feeling is resistance.
No, it's fear actually, more than
It's a resistance. Fear is nothing but a form of resistance. You must, that's where bhakti, that's where shraddha, that's where surrender comes in. You must have faith in the text, in the teachings, in the teacher, that yes, there is some truth in it. And growth will only happen when you come out of comfort zone. I don't have to tell that to you. And that's why my comment was that benefit of doubt is you already are bounded, let's say, by the golden. And if something is coming our way, is to pull you out to the next hook to get to the next level. So just taking this element of Atma Vidya, you can't drop anything. You can't become a Christ overnight, as they say. All you can do is just, let's add this new element into my life. And let us embrace it as honestly as we can, and it will do its work. You don't have to give up anything, you don't have to change anything. Just add this new flavor into your life. Your life will have a new dimension. But be true to it. Don't resist it. Don't reject it. Don't be judgmental at it. Just let it happen. Let it be. Because you walk into these classrooms for this purpose. I would not go to a classroom if not for this purpose, any other purpose. What am I going there for? To pat my own back? To give me points for what action I'm doing? Nobody needs to give you for that. The Shastras are there to pull you up to the next level, to encourage you that there is the higher path, there is a ladder, that we are all on a ladder. Don't think I've reached the top of a ladder. There's a long way to go. So we need to keep envisioning, keep raising the very definition of what my goal is. Redefine your goal. And texts like this do us that, help us with that. And there's nothing that you will, what I'm saying is there's so much to fall back on. Solid foundation is there you can fall back on. We're not talking in thin air, that's for sure. And you can always fall back on, question it, rationalize with it, and then you will come to your level where you're comfortable with. I'm only saying let that process happen naturally, please. Right? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.